UFC 302, Makhachev Poirier for the lightweight championship of the world from the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey. Dustin the Diamond Poirier gets his third crack at the lightweight championship. Can he finally get it done, or will Islam Makhachev remain the number one pound-for-pound fighter in the world? And in the co-main event, Sean Strickland returns for the first time since losing the middleweight championship in January. He returns against Bohachinia Paulo Costa. Also on the card, Kevin Holland, Oleksiejczuk, Jaitan Almeida returns against Alexander Romanov, and the main card opens with Randy Brown and Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos. And folks, if you haven't yet though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for MMA here on the channel every single week. Next week we'll be back for that UFC Fight Night Louisville card with Jared Cannonier and Nasser Nimavov in the main event, along with PFL Europe 2 as well. Let's get into the first fight of these 12, and we start things off here with the replacement fight. We've got Mitch Raposo taking on Andre Lima. Now, I am recording this on early Thursday morning. I'm getting ahead on my videos. I'm going to actually be in Las Vegas this weekend, where I'm going to put $400 on Dustin Poirier to win by guillotine. I'm kidding. I'm not going to do that. I would not advise you to do that as well. But I am going to be gone this weekend, so that's why I'm doing this ahead of time. So if any fights change or any fights fall out, there will be changes, and I will have my next prediction to that fight in the description down below. But we start things off here in the flyweight division. Andre Lima, who won his first fight by bite. Yes, that happened in his last one. He was taking on Igor Severino, and Severino bit Andre Lima in the fight. Lima won the fight by DQ. Now, what happened up until that point? It was a competitive fight. You can definitely make the case Severino won the first round. I think he did. You go to the second round, Severino's having trouble taking Lima down. He bites him, and then he gets DQ'd. Was Lima on his way to winning the fight? I think he was doing better in the second round compared to what was happening in the first, but Severino was doing all right. He's another prospect in his own right that had a pretty decent potential, I think, and pretty decent future, but kind of just threw it all away by biting Lima in the fight. Obviously, he got suspended by the Nevada State Athletic Commission, and also he got cut from the UFC in the process as well. Lima now takes on Mitch Raposo in Raposo's UFC debut. Now, you might know Raposo from one of two things. You might know him from The Ultimate Fighter, and you might know him from the Contender Series as well. He lost on both of those. On the Contender Series, he lost to Ludovic Shoilan by unanimous decision, and then he got subbed by Jake Hadley on the Contender Series right after that. Now, Hadley hasn't been great in the UFC, right? Just lost a fight in St. Louis to Charles Johnson, right? You look at what Raposo's done since. He's won 4 in a row. Won in Combat Zone against a fighter in Jay Viola, who's 3-2. Then he beat a fighter who's 7-4 in CES for their flyweight championship. Won in Cage Titans over a guy who was 2-0, and won again in Cage Titans over against a guy who was 4-2 for their flyweight championship. Now, Raposo's from the New England Cartel. Calvin Kattar and the guys kinda, book their guys against guys that they want, easy fights to get them into the Contender Series, to the Ultimate Fighter, to the UFC. They did the same with Raposo. I'm not discrediting Raposo. I'm just saying he hasn't fought the best guys. He's 25 years old, training out of Massachusetts. He is a pretty sizable underdog in this fight with Andre Lima. Just because, again, we've seen him on this stage before. He's lost to 2 UFC guys in Shoilan and to Hadley, and he hasn't really fought anybody as well outside of those 2 bouts. His toughest opponent is probably Carvalho for the CES Flyweight Championship, where he won it by knockout in the second round. But even then, Carvalho has not fought since that fight in 2022. Carvalho was coming off a loss. He had lost to Bellator fighter Jordan Winsky in 2018. I'm not all that impressed with that victory either. You look at who Raposo just beat for the Cage Titans Championship earlier this year. It's a guy named Justin Valentine. I don't know. He's fighting out of Underdog Mixed Martial Arts. I'm not impressed. He's 4-3. He hasn't beaten anybody. He's just fought a bunch of guys who have never fought before. It's just, I don't know what to expect out of Raposo, because we've seen him beat again by Shoilan. Hadley, sought success on the ground against him. And yeah, Raposo hits hard. But I think Lima's able to weather the storm on the feet. Lima's a very good striker in his own right as well, and I think Lima is just able to do enough on the feet to win this fight. I'm taking Andre Lima to win this one and stay undefeated by winning it by unanimous decision. Another thing, again, Raposo is taking this fight at short notice, and yes, Raposo fought at 35 on The Ultimate Fighter, now fighting at 25. Obviously got the shot in the Contender Series at 25, but again, lost to Hadley. I don't think Hadley's the greatest. I know Hadley missed weight for that fight, but still, Hadley hasn't done well in the UFC. He's 2-3, back-to-back losses to Durden and Charles Johnson. I think Lima's going to do enough to win the fight. I like the stand-up game a lot out of Lima here. Again, when you look at what Lima did outside the UFC, he beat a guy who's 14-1 in the Contender Series, won a fight in LFA against a guy who's 7-2. He has the experience and he's got the guys outside the UFC to show a good record. Raposo hasn't, and I just like the skills all around that we see out of Andre Lima better. I don't know how good Raposo is. I'm going to take Andre Lima to win the fight in the opener by unanimous decision. We now go to the women's bantamweight division. We have got Aline Perez taking on Jocelyn Edwards. For Aline Perez, 9-2 professionally. She is coming off a fight where she beat Lucia Puzelova by unanimous decision in the Apex on that Brendan Allen and Paul Craig card. She's taking on the Panamanian. The fighter from Panama is going to be simpler. In Jocelyn Edwards. Edwards, 28 years of age, 13-5, coming off a unanimous decision loss over in Paris, France to Nora Canol. Canol beat her by unanimous decision after Edwards stacked back-to-back split decision victories. Both fights where she missed weight against Jeon Kim and Lucia Puzelova. She finally did make weight for the Cornol fight, but again, did end up losing the bout by decision. Edwards, again, was on a 3-fight run. She beat Ramona Pasquale. She beat Jeon Kim. She beat Lucia Puzelova as well, but she does have losses as well to Jessica Rose Clark, who's at the end of her UFC run. Carol Hossa beat her by unanimous decision. She did beat Wu Yanan in her UFC debut. But when you look at what Aline Perez has done, Perez, hasn't beaten the greatest of fighters, but I think she has the blueprint to beat Jocelyn Edwards. How do you beat Jocelyn Edwards? You stay out of her kickboxing range and you take her down. I know, again, Edwards was the aggressor in the grappling against Nora Canol. I understand it, but still. If Edwards is being put on her back foot, and if she's the one defending takedowns, she has trouble. Lucia Puzelova arguably beat her in Kansas City in 2023. Puzelova backed her up, and Puzelova was able to take her down a couple times, okay? Again, Jessica Rose Clark, in a boring fight in the Apex in 2021, went out of her element to go down there and wrestle Jocelyn Edwards for 15 minutes and make it a boring fight. Aline Perez has all that capability to do so, like what Jessica Rose Clark did. You look at what she did to Ashley Evans Smith. Again, Ashley Evans Smith, not the greatest fighter, but she was able to go out there and hold Ashley Evans Smith down. You look at the Lucia Puzelova fight. Again, Perez was able to get Puzelova down. She took her down a couple times, had 8.5 minutes of control time in that fight, as she was really just able to control the first and second rounds on the ground. Puzelova was the one controlling into the third, but again, at that point, Aline Perez had already stacked 2 rounds. You gotta think she's able to use her wrestling in this fight. That's what we're looking at this one. Again, Puzelova is a -205 favorite. I do like the favorite again in this fight. I'm going to take Perez to go out here. I'm going to take the Argentinian to win the fight by decision. I just think the grappling and the wrestling game is going to be too much. I think that's kind of the game plan to win this fight. We have seen it out of Aline Perez. That's what she's been able to do to fighters. And at the same time, we've seen Jocelyn Edwards lose in that manner as well. So everything should point to an Aline Perez victory. How does Jocelyn Edwards win? She's got to keep the fight on the feet. She's got to keep it standing. I'm not willing to bank on that. I think Aline Perez is going to be able to go out here and pick up the victory. We're going to take Perez to win this one. We're going to take her now to go to 3-1 in the UFC. I understand she has a submission loss to Stephanie Egger. Again, I don't think Edwards really threatens her on the ground like that. I think Perez is able to be the aggressor in the wrestling game, and she is able to go out here and win. On the only women's fight of the card, Aline Perez will take it by unanimous decision. Let's go on to our next one here. Mickey Gall returns in the welterweight division against Basil Hafez. Gall, man, he's just been around, right? I mean, you look at his UFC record compared to his actual record, right? 11 out of his 12 fights have been in the UFC. The only one not in the UFC was his win on, get this, the promotion Dead Serious in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where Mickey Gall wins against an 0-1 fighter, and then CM Punk confronts him in the ring after the fight. Crazy stuff, right? Again, Mickey Gall beat Mike Jackson after that. He got the CM Punk fight. He beat Sage Northcutt. You think he's on top of the world. And he loses to Randy Brown, who we're going to talk about later on in this card. Gall then beats George Sullivan, loses to Diego Sanchez. It was a mismatch. Diego Sanchez worked the body really well in that fight. Mickey Gall wins the fight after that, loses to Mike Perry in the Apex in a co-main event, beats Jordan Williams by submission, then drops 2 in a row to Alex Morono and Mike Malott. Now we're going to talk about Morono very shortly. Malott, we're going to see him soon. Is he on the Louisville card? Is he? Hold on, I got to check. What card is Malott on? Oh, Malott's on the Denver, Colorado card. Anyways, right, Mickey Gall losing to Malott and Morono isn't horrible. It's not. Those are 2 good fighters. They're now giving him Basel Hafez in this fight, which is interesting because, again, we don't entirely know how good Basel Hafez is. He fought Jack Della Maddalena very close. You can make the argument that maybe he beats Jack Della Maddalena. I think he only gets the first round in that fight. If I'm being honest, I think Jack Della wins 2 and 3. That was a close fight. Maddalena took it on a week's notice. It was a weird fight. It was in the Apex. It was a co-main event. JDM ends up winning the fight by decision. It's a very close split decision victory for JDM. Now, Basel Hafez was coming off of fighting in Fury FC. He was the Fury FC welterweight champion. Cage Fury FC, same thing. Actually, no, it's not. Fury's the one in Texas. Cage Fury's the one up in the Northeast. Anyways, he's fought in both, right? He fought in CFFC for their championship. He lost for the CFFC championship against Evan Cutts. He was the champion originally, though, after he won a fight in 2020. He went to Fury after going to Cage Fury. This is where it gets confusing. So he goes to Fury after losing the belt in Cage Fury. He beats Evan Cutts for the championship, but this time in Fury, he wins the rematch. Again, they originally fought in CFFC. Cutts beat him by split decision in CFFC, but then Hafez knocks him out in the rematch in 2023 in Fury. So again, confusing. That's why I got mixed up. But anyways, Hafez then goes in, loses to Jack Della Maddalena in a very close fight. You gotta think he's gonna have the advantage here against Mickey Gall. I've never thought Gall's all that good. Okay, the only time I was ever high on Mickey Gall, if I'm being completely honest with you, is when he beat Sage Northcutt. Then you're thinking, okay, he's 4-0, right? He beat CM Punk, but then he beat Northcutt, so you're thinking, all right, the guy's not that bad. But then Northcutt went on to, well, actually, no, Northcutt didn't lose again in the UFC, but Gall just went to lose to Randy Brown, and that was just kind of it for him, right, in terms of being a serious up-and-comer, right? We're not thinking Mickey Gall is going to be a top 15 guy really ever, I don't think, if I'm being completely honest with you, right? I think Gall's outmatched in the feet in this fight. I think he is. I think Basel Hafez is way better stand-up-wise. And again, I know Hafez, where he won in that fight against Jack Della was with the wrestling, and he can definitely out-wrestle Mickey Gall as well. But that's the one spot where Gall excels is with his jiu-jitsu. On the feet, Gall's not very good. Hafez is a little green on the feet and is not where you, I think, want him to be. But in a fight against Mickey Gall, yeah, he should be good enough to beat Mickey Gall stand-up-wise. I don't know how long this one lasts in the feet. We're going to take Basel Hafez to win the fight by second round TKO. Again, you look at Mickey Gall, who got dominated by an old Diego Sanchez in the feet. I'm not saying Basel's going to dig the body like that and work the same way that Diego Sanchez did, but Basel can hit hard. Again, you saw him in his last win in Fury when he won the championship over Evan Cutts, right? He knocks him out in the third round. He's got heavy hands. He was able to remain competitive on the feet with the former UFC guy against Anthony Ivy. And yes, Jack Della did beat him on the feet, but we're not anticipating a guy in Basel Hafez to beat a top 5 fighter in Jack Della Maddalena in terms of the striking range. Or striking game. I think Basel's going to win this fight. I think he can beat Mickey Gall on the feet, and I also think he beats him on the ground as well. I think, again, the easier path to victory for Basel Hafez is with the striking game, just because of the jiu-jitsu game that Mickey Gall does have in his back pocket. So that's why I'm taking Basel Hafez to win the fight by second round TKO or KO on the feet. Again, I just think the hands are going to be too much. I'm taking Basel Hafez, who's a minus 290 favorite, give or take. Minus 285, minus 290. We're taking Basel to win the fight by second round TKO and disposing of Mickey Gall. To our next one here, we are sticking in the welterweight division. We have Nico Price taking on Alex Morono. Morono just fought. He's coming off a win in the UFC Apex, and he's taking on Nico Price. Price is coming off back-to-back losses where he just lost about a year ago to Robbie Lawler on International Fight Week with Lawler's last ever professional fight. Now, I've seen the conspiracies about that fight being rigged. I truly don't believe it's not. Again, it's an out there take. But it is kind of interesting that Robbie Lawler just drops him with the first punch he throws. I don't think there was anything fishy, but I do think it is a little bit interesting. I'm not putting anything towards that. I'm putting that into Robbie Lawler cracked him in his last fight. Okay, What I do know is that Niko Price has not been the winner of a fight in 5 out of his last 6. He has not won the fight. His only wins over Alex Oliveira, who's no longer in the UFC in 2021 in the Apex, right? He has gone on a big skid since we've come out of COVID, or since we started COVID, right? His last win, other than the Oliveira win, is the upkick finish in Florida where he beat James Vick in 2019. Since then, it's a TKO loss to Vicente Luque. Again, not concerned about that. It's the draw against Cowboy Cerrone. It's the loss to Michel Pereira. It's the win over Alex Oliveira, loss to Phil Rowe by TKO, and Robbie Lawler knocks him out in 38 seconds. And now you're getting a guy in Alex Morono who's 13-6. And I understand, Morono is a coach first nowadays, but this is the type of fight that he likes because, again, it favors Morono a lot. This is a fight that favors Alex Morono, definitely. Truly. Because I think Morono's the better striker in this fight. And I think, again, well, okay. Him being the better striker is interesting. Niko Price does throw, but Niko Price recently, I don't know if he can beat Morono on the feet. And on top of that, Morono will mix it up. There is nothing in particular, if I'm being honest with you, that Morono just straight excels in. He's just good everywhere. And I think in this fight, he will be able to catch Niko Price in the feet. I don't know how good Niko Price is at this point of his career. But I do know Alex Morono has been winning fights. He beat Court McGee, lost to Joaquin Buckley, but submitted Tim Means before that and did get knocked out against Santiago Ponzinibbio. But again, Morono's been fighting tough guys. He had a win over Cowboy where he TKO'd him. He beat David Zawade, beat Mickey Gall, he beat Matthew Semmelsberger. He's been winning fights. I think this fight will be somewhat similar to the Donald Cowboy Cerrone fight that Morono had. If he's able to work Niko Price back up against the fence, he's going to give him a lot of problems. If Morono can be on the front foot this entire fight, he can blitz Niko Price, and again, always make Niko Price going backward, make him go backwards. That's where Morono, I do think, wins the fight. And on top of that, if Morono has to grapple with him, I do like that as well. I just think Morono's a better fighter. He just fought 2 months ago. He beat Court McGee. I thought he was going to finish McGee in that fight. He didn't. But again, I just don't know what Niko Price is at this point. Truly. Again, this is a guy who's been a loser or has not won in 5 of 6. Again, we're talking about the draw against Cowboy. But he hasn't won in 5 out of 6. If you want to expand that, he hasn't won in 7 of 9. Again, it hasn't been 6 of 8. It hasn't been the best performances for Niko Price. He's just lost a lot. And I think, again, it feels like a fight that Morono wins. It feels a little bit of a mismatch to me. I don't know if Morono is able to finish Price, but I'm actually going to take him to do so because, again, the guy's been finishing back-to-back fights. Phil Rowe was able to finish him in 2022 in Orlando, and then Lawler was able to knock him out. I think Morono is able to blitz him. I think Morono is able to give him a lot of problems. I'm going to take Alex Morono to win the fight by second-round TKO. I'm taking back-to-back second-round TKOs here. But again, I like what we can see out of Morono. I think the boxing's going to be huge. And again, he's always going to be on the front foot in this fight. He's always going to be pushing the pace, I think, against Niko Price. And primarily, that's against something that you would think of Niko Price doing. But he's been relatively, just lackluster in his last couple performances. I do like Morono a lot. Again, Morono is a coach first. He only takes a fight when he really likes it. Obviously, this is a fight that he wants and he feels pretty good about because he's not going to, again, Morono's taking fights he knows he can win. This is a fight he knows he can win. Big favorite. Again, it's either a fight he knows he can win or a fight that can get him in the rankings. Buckley was a fight that could get him in the rankings. He lost it. Price and McGee are fights he knows he can win. I think Morono gets it done. I think he does it pretty decisively, and I think he gets a finish. We'll see. Again, didn't get a finish last time we picked him. I think he will do it here. But yeah, we're taking Alex Morono to win the fight by second-round TKO. Let's go on to our third in a row welterweight fight. Phil Rowe taking on Jake Matthews. For the Australian and Matthews coming off a unanimous decision loss to Michael Morales. And for Phil Rowe coming off that loss to Neil Magny by split decision over, I believe that was one in Charlotte. No, that was in Jacksonville, Emmett, and Poirier. The Rowe-Magny fight was close. It was. I thought Magny probably got the nod, should have gotten the nod, and he did. You look at that fight, I think round 1's won by Phil Rowe. I think 2 and 3, though, are won by Neil Magny. They're close, but I do think Magny does win those second and third rounds. But Rowe's not that bad. He's really not, right? Jake Matthews is a solid fighter as well. But the quality of wins for Jake Matthews, I'll be honest, hasn't been the greatest. When's the last time Jake Matthews has beat a guy who's like, again, a really UFC caliber? If we're being honest, Jake Matthews doesn't have a win over a guy who's currently in the UFC other than Darius Flowers. And Flowers is 0-2. Li Jingliang, if we're going all the way back to 2018, kind of forgot about that fight. But other than that, Jake Matthews hasn't beat a guy who's in the UFC right now. Now, Phil Rowe, again, win over Nico Price, win over Jason Witt, win over Orion Cosce. The argument really isn't being made for Phil Rowe as well. He only has one win over a guy who's currently in the UFC, and that be it Nico Price. But I've always liked Phil Rowe. I think Rowe, again, he's a long guy. He's a very lanky guy for the division. He's 6'3" at 170 pounds. I did take Neil Magny to beat him in their last fight, but I've always thought, again, Phil Rowe, if he can really get it going, he is a dangerous guy with the striking. Because he's a guy, again, who can use his reach to his advantage. He has a ground game as well. But do I like him against Jake Matthews? I don't know. It's a close fight for me. And again, we always forget how young Jake Matthews is. The guy's 29 years old. Seriously, Jake Matthews will be around for the UFC for a while. He will likely someday be a part of that 20-win club. I do think so, right? I mean, he only needs 8 more. He's probably going to be one of the guys who has, at some point in time, the most wins in the UFC. Never at a championship level, but just, again, beating these guys who are no longer in the promotion. I mean, listen to the names that he's beat, right? Fiallo, Diego Sanchez, Emil Mech, Rostam Akman, Shinso Anzai, right? Like Johnny Case, Deshaun Johnson, Wagner Rocha. Like, those are the guys that Matthews has beat. Credit to him, he's winning fights. But they haven't been against the best competition, right? The Fiallo win was huge because Fiallo at that point in time was on a roll. Now Fiallo's losing in UAE Warriors. Like, what is going on with this guy? His chin's gone. But Matthews, the loss to Matthew Semmelsberger isn't great. Semmelsberger knocks him down 3 times. He does get by Darius Flowers, but then he loses to Michael Morales. I'm taking the underdog in this fight. I'm taking Phil Rowe. I'm going to think that Phil Rowe can put it all together in this fight. I'm taking the underdog by unanimous decision in this one. Again, I like the reach. And I like the size of Phil Rowe in this fight. He is going to be the bigger fighter in this one. Jake Matthews around 5'10". Semmelsberger was bigger than Matthews. He caught Matthews coming in, and he did it more than once. He did it every single round. Matthews wasn't really able to get going in that fight because of the way Semmelsberger was able to drop him in every single round. I'm not saying Phil Rowe's going to do that. I'm not saying Phil Rowe's going to knock him down every single round, but Phil Rowe does possess the power to put a guy down, and I do like the overall game that he has. Again, you could arguably make the case that he beat Neil Magny. It's close, but I do think Rowe possesses the skills to beat Matthews with the striking here in this fight. So I'm going to take the underdog in Phil Rowe. We're going to take the Fresh Prince to win the fight. He is 3-2 in the UFC, and again, I understand he has not beat a guy who's in the UFC currently other than Nico Price, and he's missed weight in 2 of his wins, but we're picking winners. And maybe Phil Rowe misses weight, but as long as he wins the fight, I don't care. We're taking Phil Rowe to get it done, and I'm taking him by decision. Again, I think he is able to outstrike Matthews. I think. I could be very wrong on this fight, but I'm going to take the underdog. I think Rowe is able to do it on the feet. Give me the Fresh Prince to win the fight by unanimous decision. Either we get this right on and Rowe wins every single round, or it's the complete opposite and Matthews wins every single round. There's no other way about this fight. Taking Rowe to win the fight by decision, though. To our next one here, Grant Dawson returns, and I feel like they kind of gave him a layup. They give him Joe Solecki. Now, Joe Solecki is decent, but again, this is a fight Grant Dawson is expected to win. And I understand Joe Solecki's 5-2 in the UFC, but Grant Dawson kind of does everything better than Joe Solecki. That's kind of how I approach this fight. You look at what Solecki did. He got slammed TKO'd against Dakar Close. All right, but Solecki's wins aren't the greatest. The one win that does stand out, it is Jim Miller. It's a very good win that he got. He wins it by decision on the Vittori Holland card. Sure. But I kind of feel like Dawson does everything better than Solecki. I mean, they're kind of the same fighter, if we're being honest. Solecki, heavy wrestling approach. He's going to look to drown you on the ground. Sure. Grant Dawson just is that, but I just think he's better. Straight up, I think Dawson's just a better version of Joe Solecki. That's kind of how I approach this one. Solecki's 5-2 in the UFC. Okay. Grant Dawson's 8-1. Dawson's only lost to Bobby Green. No shame in that. Bobby Green's a top 15 guy. Yes, that was the fight that was supposed to get Dawson in the rankings, but Bobby Green halted that in the main event. But still, again, like, he's a better version of Solecki. Solecki's not going to hurt him on the feet. So Dawson's going to be given the opportunity in this fight to do what he's supposed to do without the worry of getting knocked out like he did in the Bobby Green fight. There is no worry of that for Grant Dawson in this fight. He is well expected to go out there, and he's been given the opportunity to go out there and purely out-grapple this guy, Joe Solecki. right? Will he get a submission? I don't know. I'm going to take Dawson by decision just because, again, it's going to be tough to submit this guy. Solecki, again, is decent down there, right? He's beat a lot of fighters on the ground. He's got 8 submission wins in the past. He's never been subbed. He has been finished twice by TKO, one being, again, the Dakar close slam, and the other one being back in 864 fighting championships to one Nicholas Mota, who's in the UFC as well, coming off a huge win over Tom Nolan earlier in the year in January. But, right, Solecki's only losses are Jared Gordon and Dakar close. 2 decent guys in the UFC, right? But again, Dawson just does everything better than Solecki. He's stronger, I think. He's got better wrestling. And I think he's just able to just manhandle Solecki on the ground. Again, they're kind of the same size, but I just think Dawson's better. I think so. I think it's that simple. I just think Dawson's better. There's no threat of the striking in this fight. Dawson... I mean, we're calling Dawson an up-and-coming prospect. They're the same age, but it just feels, again, Dawson's just all around just a better version of Joe Solecki. Taking Grant Dawson in the fight, win the fight, I don't think he does it by decision. I just think he out-wrestles Solecki. I think he's going to bank the first 2 rounds. Dawson's cardio has been a problem in the past. I think if he gets the 2 rounds, if he gets the first 2 rounds, he'll be fine. He'll bank the first 2, kind of take the third off, but he'll be able to do enough to win the fight by decision. Again, it's a fight that gets Dawson back in the win column. He's borderline top 15. You want a tougher task for him in his next one. I'd throw out Benoit Saint-Denis in France. Throw him right back into the Wolves. Seriously, again, if we're going to find out if Dawson's that guy, if Dawson's truly a top 15 name, throw him against Benoit in France. If not, give him Dan Hooker in Australia, or give him Joel Alvarez later in the year. Joel Alvarez is a very good guy as well. His only loss in the UFC is Magulov and Sarukian. Like, those are tough outs. Like, give him one of those guys. We'll see how good he is. If not, I mean, you can give him a test. Give him Diego Fajeda as well. I just don't think, again, I don't think that Solecki's, the way of figuring out how good he is. Did he just get caught in his last fight? Probably, yeah. But, like, again, this isn't the test. There's, Dakar close, a fight that's, it could be interesting as well. But I'm going to take Grant Dawson to win this fight by unanimous decision. Let's go on to our next one here in the prelim headliner at 185 pounds. We got an interesting one, right? Cesar Almeida taking on Roman Kopylov. Kopylov coming off his loss on a pay-per-view main card against Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. Fluffy Hernandez was able to go out there and submit him in the second round in Anaheim on the Volkanovski Topuria card. And we will be seeing the undefeated Cesar Almeida, who is 5-0 in professional mixed martial arts, coming off his win over Dylan Budka by second round TKO in his last one. I picked Budka to win the fight, I'll be honest with you. And this is a guy in Almeida who has a win over Alex Pereira in kickboxing. Now, Pereira won the trilogy 2-1, but still, the middle fight in 2013 was won by Cesar Almeida by unanimous decision. He's now 1-0 in the UFC, and the guy's pretty good. I watched the Budka fight. He's good. Budka took him down in the first round, held him down. Second round, Budka couldn't get him down anymore. And my goodness, this guy hits hard. He's lethal in the clinch. Cesar Almeida is a good fighter. But is he able to stand with Roman Kopylov? How good is Almeida's striking game? Because Kopylov's not going to be the guy that's going to take him down. So that's why I am a little bit concerned taking Kopylov in this fight. Because truly, if this fight stays on the feet, Almeida's got a more than good chance to win this fight. Will Kopylov wrestle? I don't know. He doesn't do that much. I've seen him, shoot a couple times. He did it against Punahele Soriano. He shot one takedown, went 1-for-1, had 10 seconds of control. He did it against Albert Duraev in 2021. He had him down for 20 seconds. He went 1-for-2 on his takedown attempts. He's not known for his wrestling. But again, I didn't think Waldo Cortez Acosta was going to go out there and out-wrestle Despain for 15 minutes, right? Robles Despain for 15 minutes. So, again, yes, Kopylov got out-grappled in his last fight, but he's not going to be the lesser of the grapplers between him and Cesar Almeida, right? The pathway's out there for Kopylov. And I feel like there's too much to pick against him in this fight, because either Kopylov, I feel like we have two chances of picking Kopylov in this fight, right? Because you don't know what game plan he's going to go into this fight having, right? Either he wrestles or he strikes. You know he's a better striker than Dylan Budka, who got knocked out by Almeida. And we also know that, yes, Kopylov's not as good of a wrestler as Budka is, But again, he's a mixed martial arts fighter. He's been doing this for a very long time. Kopylov made his professional mixed martial arts debut back in 2016 over in Russia. Like, the guy's been around, right? He's been fighting for a while. Obviously, he trains wrestling as well. He's not your typical Russian, mixed martial arts fighter, but Kopylov has a Sambo background. He just doesn't use it that much. I gotta believe he's gonna wrestle Almeida here. But back what I was saying about this, double chance we have with Kopylov, either he does go out there and purely just, beats the hell out of Almeida on the ground, or he knocks him out on the feet too. Because on the feet, I would give a slight advantage to Almeida, but Kopylov definitely has a puncher's chance as well. However, I am going to lean towards the fact that Kopylov is going to fall back on his Sambo game, and he's going to be able to take this guy down. Dylan Budko was able to take him down for 5 minutes when they fought in the Apex a couple months ago, and I think Kopylov's able to get him down as well. One loss to Anthony Hernandez doesn't make you a bad fighter. It doesn't. Kopylov, I still think, is very capable, and I think we're going to see the Sambo game in this fight. I'm taking Roman Kopylov. I'm taking a third second round TKO on this card, but I'm doing it again. Roman Kopylov wins the fight by second round TKO. If he gets Almeida down, actually, no, we're going to take first round TKO for Kopylov. I do think he gets it done pretty quickly. I'm going to say within 4 minutes, Kopylov will get it done on the ground. Taking Kopylov to get it done. Because again, if Kopylov is able to use that Sambo, really, again, do damage against Almeida on the ground, he's going to be able to tire Almeida as he tries to get back up, and I do think he'll get a late finish in the first. That's what I'm leaning towards. We'll take the Russian and Kopylov in this fight. I am tempted to take Almeida, but there's too much for me, too many warning signs against picking Almeida for me to actually go in here and pull the trigger and take him. So I'm going to take Kopylov to win the fight. We're taking him by first round TKO. Again, there's too many things that would have to go wrong for him to lose the fight. Sure, again, striking with this guy and getting knocked out and chinned is one of them, but I do think Kopylov's able to win. Again, we are relying on the fact that he can use the Sambo. If not, again, we still have a chance on the feet. I feel like there's more good than bad picking Kopylov than not, so give me Kopylov to win the fight by first round knockout in this one. Knockout TKO, one or the other. Let's go on to the pay-per-view. We have got Randy Brown taking on Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos. For Brown, 18-5, coming off that win over Muslim Salikov, where he knocked him out in the first round. And for Zaleski dos Santos, a very inspired performance against Hernat Fakhretdinov, where he, again, draws him. The fight ends in a draw. But Fakhretdinov's a guy that nobody wants to fight, and Zaleski dos Santos, did all right against him over in Brazil in November. I was surprised they didn't run that fight back. Because Fakhretdinov looks like he has it in the bag after the first round, right? It messed up my parlay, but it's fine. Zaleski dos Santos wins the second, wins the third. The second round's close. Could go either way. I thought Fakhretdinov got it, if I'm being honest, but it is what it is. It's very close. But the third round's all easy with Zaleski dos Santos. Zaleski dos Santos really goes in there and beats the hell out of him in the third round. Now again, you get Zaleski back in this spot against Randy Brown. He beat Abubakar Nurmagomedov by split decision on the Kai Kara-France Amir Al-Bassi card in the Apex. He beat Benoit Saint-Denis. Benoit up a weight class in his UFC debut. Again, that fight's interesting. The referee, again, wanted Benoit to die in that one. But again, Benoit Saint-Denis showed how tough he is. And again, he stayed in the fight and lost it by decision, though, against Zaleski dos Santos. But you got him and Randy Brown here. Brown is 33, Zaleski dos Santos is 37. Now, he doesn't move like he's 37 because, again, the guy throws a bunch of crazy kicks. The guy is, still in very good athletic shape for being that old. But it's a tough out. It is a really tough out in Randy Brown. Because, when you look at what Brown's done, he does get hit. He does get hit, and his chin isn't the greatest. Vicente Luque was able to trouble him with the striking. Jack Della Maddalena dropped him and then submitted him. Zaleski dos Santos just has to connect once. But my thing is, the last time Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos dropped a guy in the UFC, it was 2018 when he beat Luigi Venturini. That was the last time he knocked a guy down and knocked a guy out, right? And he did it in back-to-back fights because the fight before that, he beat Sean Strickland and knocked him out in the first round, right? UFC 218, pay-per-view, looked really good in that one. Spinning hook kicked Sean Strickland. They're probably going to show that, in the promo package before this fight because, again, Strickland's in the co-main event. So Zaleski does have the power. However, he hasn't done it recently. That's why I'm leaning towards Randy Brown. But Zaleski only has to connect once. Because again, Brown's chin is not the greatest, But I do think all around Randy Brown is able to outstrike him on the feet, and I do think Randy Brown is able to give him trouble. Again, Brown looked good in his last fight, right? He drops Muslim Salikov and knocks him out on that Dolidze Imavov card, right? I think I picked against him, right? Yeah, I don't think I picked Randy Brown on that card. Did I? I honestly do not remember if I picked Randy Brown on that card. But, you know, he drops Muslim Salikov and he finishes him. It's a great win. Oh, I did pick Randy Brown in that fight. But still, I'm going to take him again here. I didn't think he was going to be able to finish Salikov. I don't think he's going to finish Zaleski. I don't think so. Eliseo Zaleski dos Santos has only been finished once in the feet in his entire career. It comes that Li Jingliang loss in 2019. I think Brown wins the decision. I think he stays on the outside. He will have a 5-inch reach advantage, and I think he does use that to his advantage. Brown is going to be the bigger fighter by far. He's going to have a 4-inch reach advantage, and he will have a 5-inch reach advantage as well. Height advantage, and then, 4-inch height advantage and a 5-inch reach advantage, if I got that right, if I didn't get that right the first time. Again, I think Brown's able to keep his distance, and I think Brown does go out there and win the fight. Give me Randy Rude Boy Brown to win it by unanimous decision. Again, though, I would not be surprised if Eliseo Zaleski does go out there and connect to something huge early in the fight, trying to impress with the pay-per-view opener, but I am going to take the Rude Boy Randy Brown to go out there and win the fight by decision. To the heavyweight division, I'm actually interested in this fight. There might be some people who aren't that pumped for this one. I kind of am. Okay, Jailton Almeida lost to Curtis Blades. A lot of guys lose to Curtis Blades. And yeah, Almeida kind of, once he was in on the double, Blades hit him with some hammer fists, and Almeida just kind of went, and then just gave up. Okay. He didn't look to change positioning. He kind of just accepted it and accepted getting finished with those hammer fists. Now, I didn't like that out of Almeida. However, this guy took Curtis Blades down 9 times in the first round. There's a lot to be, looked at in that fight, and there's a lot to be, there's a lot that can be improved on for Jailton Almeida. But there are some very good signs from that fight. Sure, he gave up in the first, real moment of adversity in his UFC career. He gave up. Okay. But still, I do think this guy has all the potential and all the makings to be a top guy. Now, do I think he can get past Tom Aspinall? I don't know. At one point in time, going into the Curtis Blades fight, and I was always high in the Jailton Almeida bandwagon, and I was the leader of the bandwagon. I was driving the damn train. I said Jailton Almeida was going to be a world champion someday. Do I think he will be that? I don't know. He has all the makings of a top guy still, though. Definitely. In this fight against Alexander Romanov, he is going to decimate this guy. Romanov's big, yes, but Almeida is so physically strong, he's going to be able to get Romanov down. And I do think he's able to give him a lot of trouble once the fight is on the ground. I'm taking Jailton Almeida to make this look easy. First round submission. I've seen Almeida go out there and again ragdoll Derek Lewis for 5 rounds. Now, the thing is, Romanov hits hard. Not on the feet, but on the ground, Romanov hits hard. So if Almeida does get stuck in a spot where he's in on a double and just gets stuck, Romanov will throw everything in those hammer fists. I've seen Romanov go in there. And again, at one point in time, I was high on Romanov to the level of, excitement I have on Almeida now still. That used to be me on Romanov. I was at one point super high on this guy, and then I watched him go fight Marcin Tybura and blow it. And then lose to Volkov. I actually picked Ivanov to beat him. He didn't, but still, I'm no longer high on Romanov, okay? Almeida is going to beat him. Now, Alexander Romanov almost lost to Juan Espino. That was the first moment of, okay, maybe this guy's not that great. He almost lost to Juan Espino, who had a draw against Bigfoot Silva in a fight that was definitely just staged. But anyways, right, Romanov got taken down in a lot of trouble on the ground against Juan Espino. Jailton Almeida is Juan Espino times 10. Espino's old, he's 41 years old, very good jiu-jitsu guy, but still, Almeida's that and so much more, right? I'm not concerned about Almeida taking anybody down at this point. If he can take down Curtis Blades 9 times in one round, I'm not concerned about him taking down Alexander Romanov. And Juan Espino took down Romanov 4 times too, right? I'm not concerned about that. I'm concerned about, again, Almeida being stuck in on a double back against, seriously, this same, I'm concerned about the same exact scenario that he had in the Curtis Blades fight. Because Romanov's going to try it. If Almeida's in on a double and he can't get it, Romanov's just going to punch. Because Almeida didn't know what to do from there, right? I do think he's still very green, even though he has had, 23 professional mixed martial arts fights. I do think he's a little bit green. I do think he's a little bit one-dimensional still. I do think so. But I do know this guy's got really good grappling, and he's a very physically strong guy, and his wrestling's good too. If he can just put it together, seriously, he can make a run. I'm still in on Almeida. I do think Almeida's going to fight for a championship someday. Do I think he's going to win that championship? I don't know. But I do think Almeida is still a staple of the top 5. I think he's going to prove it here. Jailton Almeida is going to make it look easy first round submission. I do think he does get Romanov down. Romanov has not been put in a situation where he's on his back against a far superior jiu-jitsu player since the Juan Espino fight. The thing is, Espino didn't even really get him down for that long in that first round. Before Romanov was able to get him down in the second round. Espino was on his way to get him down in the third and probably beat him in the third. So that's why I think, again, Almeida, though, I don't think it's going to take that long. I think Almeida gets him down early. And I just don't know if Romanov's going to know what to do when Almeida throws so many different things at him. And again, the heavyweight division's not great, I'll be honest with you. There's so many guys who just, they're good just because they can hit hard. And now Romanov and Almeida are exceptions because this is the reason these guys are ranked and they've done so well and they've been so successful is because they can wrestle. Because a lot of these guys can't wrestle in the top 15 or even just in the UFC's heavyweight division in general. Right? I mean, Almeida's 7, Romanov's 13. Almeida's going to go out here and win the fight. He's going to get it done by first round sub. He's just got to make sure, again, he just doesn't get hit with those big shots from Romanov. If this fight stays on the feet, I'm very curious to see what happens. Seriously, both these guys suck on the feet. They just do. But they're so successful because they're able to get guys down. On the feet, I think Almeida's better. I don't know. Romanov's, I don't know. They're both bad on the feet. I don't know. That would be interesting to see if this fight stayed on the feet. For my sake, picking Almeida, I hope Almeida just goes in for a takedown, takes his back, and submits him. That's what I think is going to happen. I would be intrigued, though, in a stand-up fight. Almeida's going to win the fight, though, by first-round submission. Now, if I'm Jailton Almeida, I'm calling out Ciryl Gane in France. Get on that mic, get to your translator, and say, I want Gane in Paris. Because that's a matchup Almeida can win. Don't let Gane go out there and fight Tybura in France. No, take that fight from Tybura. Go out there and say, yeah, I want Gane in France, and after I beat Gane in France, I'm fighting for a world championship. That's what Almeida should do. Again, kind of like we talked about Grant Dawson earlier, they're kind of giving him a fight he can win. Well, take advantage of that. Take advantage of the mic time that you're going to get on a pay-per-view where millions of people are watching, maybe not paid for by the UFC, maybe not paying the UFC to watch it, but on their various sites. Not like I've ever done that, but anyways, get on the mic and call out Gane in a main event in Paris and put yourself back on the map. Because if he can go out here, beat Romanov, then beat Gane, you're looking at a title shot against the winner of whoever gets through that. Jones isn't fighting Aspinall. He can go fight the winner of Aspinall and Blades. So yeah, Jailton Almeida, get it done. Don't disappoint me. I've put a lot of stock into this guy and I've hyped this guy up a lot. So I'm not mad at all that he lost to Curtis Blades. Okay, on to the next one here. Kevin Holland taking on Michal Oleksiejczuk. This was a fight that was just thrown together, right? It's a fight that was simply just thrown together. Call Big Mouth, right? Big Mouth is back to save the day. Kevin Holland is back on a pay-per-view card. Again, it kind of feels like the fight they're giving Holland to win. This is a fight that's set up for Holland to go out there and get a win back. Because, again, back-to-back losses, Venom Page and to Jack Della Maddalena. The Jack Della fight was a lot closer than that Venom Page fight. Michal Oleksiejczuk is more than a winnable fight for Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland, if he is smart, he'll go out here and wrestle Michal Oleksiejczuk. That is the one spot where Oleksiejczuk has been just completely exploited, right? Guys have been able to go out there and just wrestle this guy. Cody Brundage saw some success wrestling Oleksiejczuk before the fight got back to the feet and Oleksiejczuk knocked him out. Caio Borralho submitted him. Michel Pineda submitted him. Jimmy Crute submitted him. Ovince St. Preux submitted him. A lot of guys have been able to take down Michal Oleksiejczuk and just sub him. I'm hoping Kevin Holland does that. Again, when I picked Kevin Holland to beat Michael Venom Page, I was thinking, okay, if he just take down MVP, he's going to win the fight. He didn't, and he lost, and he took some damage in that fight. Well, now you're taking on a very heavy puncher in Oleksiejczuk. Oleksiejczuk hits hard. He does, right? He was able to put away Chidi and Njokuani. That fight wasn't really a knockdown. He just got him on the ground and finished him. But the Cody Brundage fight where he's able to drop Brundage, he knocked down and knocked out Sam Alvey. Still though, a knockout's a knockout. Knocked out Gamza Tava at UFC 267. The guy's capable of going out there and getting knockout finishes. So if I'm Kevin Holland and I'm in the Kevin Holland camp, if I'm at Travis Lutter, I'm telling him, Go out there and just sub the guy. Take him down and, get him down. The game plan he used in the Tim Means fight. Again, I know Means was the aggressor in the wrestling. But just take him down. I mean, again, he has a clear advantage in the jiu-jitsu game in this fight, just Kevin Holland. But again, it's Kevin Holland. Will he actually go out there and submit him? I don't know. I'm hoping Kevin Holland puts his career first in this fight. I don't want to see Kevin Holland getting knocked out as a product of fighting so shortly after losing to MVP. I don't want to see him get knocked out because of that. Because yeah, Oleksiejczuk will harden if Oleksiejczuk lands in the button, yeah, there's a chance he does put Holland away. Again, Holland's got a good chin. He's never been finished on the feet other than once, right? Was the only time he was finished on the feet. It was, he's a TKO loss to Wonder Boy, but again, never really got finished in that fight. It was a doctor stoppage, right? Holland is more than capable of outstriking Michal Oleksiejczuk. Don't get me wrong, he can probably do it. But the other pathway to victory is staring him right in the face, Kevin Holland by submission in the first round. Now, more likely this is going to be a Kevin Holland knockdown than a sub on the ground. But I'm hoping Holland just takes him down because, again, he's more than capable of doing this. Holland's got a really good jiu-jitsu game. You saw what he did to Michael Chiesa. He subbed him very quickly. He should be able just to go out here, get this guy down, and sub him. Because, again, if Oleksiejczuk is being subbed by Jimmy Crute, OSP, Michel Pereira, Holland should be able to do the same. Back up at 185. I do think he goes out there and beats Michal Oleksiejczuk. The only way Michal Oleksiejczuk beats him is if he knocks him out, because he's not going out there and he's not outstriking Kevin Holland for 15 minutes. I will stand by that, right? Oleksiejczuk's not standing in the pocket or trading with Kevin Holland for 15 minutes and getting the better of that. The only way he wins is if he knocks out Kevin Holland because of Holland's chin after just fighting 2 months ago. If this fight was both these guys on 6 months rest, no damage at all, Kevin Holland wins this fight 99 times out of 100. I'm a little bit concerned with Holland just fighting, but I'm still confident he gets it done. Give me big mouth. Kevin Holland's going to win the fight by first round sub. I hope he does what he should do and takes him down, but knowing Kevin Holland again, he'll probably knock him down and then submit him. Give me Kevin Holland, though, to go out there and pick up the victory. We're going to take him by first round submission. To the co-main event, Sean Strickland returns, and he gets Borrachinha, Paulo Costa. What does Sean Strickland have to win with this fight? Yeah, money, obviously. But, where does Strickland go if he beats Costa? Costa's lost 3 of 4. The only win is Luke Rockhold. He just lost a couple months ago to Robert Whittaker. What does Sean entirely have to win here? I don't know. Don't get me wrong, I think Sean wins. I think Sean does beat Costa. If I gave away the pick early, so be it. But I do think he beats Costa. And I do think he beats him by decision. Again, it's a 5-round fight. Yeah, maybe Strickland finishes him late. But no, I think Sean wins the fight by decision. I think Sean wins every single round, if I'm being... No, Costa will probably win 1. Costa's going to land a big shot and win 1 round. Because Strickland's chin's not the greatest. Strickland's been hit before, and he's been wobbled, right? We talked about it earlier. Eliseo Zaleski dos Santos, Alex Pereira. Guys have been able to knock this guy down, knock him out. But I do think at this point in both these guys' careers, Sean Strickland's a better striker than Paulo Costa. The all-around striking game out of Sean Strickland is better than Paulo Costa's. It just is, right? Costa's been on the losing end of a couple of fights. Yeah, he did wobble and rock Whittaker at the end of that first round with that spinning heel kick. But again, Whittaker came back and won the next 2 rounds in Anaheim at UFC 298. So that's always in the back pocket for Costa. That's always going to be something I think that's going to be in the mind of Sean Strickland, that, yeah, Costa can land on him. But again, Strickland is legitimately crazy. He's going to go out there and, he wants to do the man dance with Paulo Costa. He's going to want to trade and stand and bang for 25 minutes. Because again, this is a guy who held to his word and straight up said, I'm going to walk down Alex Pereira and knock him out. Now, he walked him down and then got hit with the left hook and got knocked out. But still, Strickland believes everything he says. And Sean Strickland's going to go out there and try to walk down Paulo Costa for 25 minutes. And hey, he did it against Israel Adesanya, and he beat him. Nobody thought that was going to happen. He tried to do it against Duplessis. Duplessis is a very good striker and a very good fighter, a very awkward fighter, a very hard fighter just to time. And Duplessis mixed it up a lot with the wrestling, gave Strickland a lot of problems. I thought Duplessis got the decision. I understand why you think Strickland got it. I completely get it. I like both those guys, truly. 2 of my favorite guys in the division, probably my 2 favorite guys in the division, are Strickland and Duplessis. I like both these guys a lot. I thought Dricus got the nod. I think he should have got it, and he did. right? Okay. Strickland's gonna win this fight by decision. He's not. I don't think Costa's able to land on him big, right? Costa has not knocked anybody out since Uriah Hall back in 2018. Sure, he hits hard, but he wasn't able to knock out Luke Rockhold in 15 minutes up in Utah at UFC 278. Like, I don't think he's able to knock out Strickland. And in terms of pure striking, Strickland is better than Costa. Strickland should be able to walk this guy down and just beat him, right? Should be able to parry the jab and should be able to go out there and win the fight. Okay. Now, what does Strickland have to win in this fight? Because Izzy doesn't deserve the fight with Duplessis, but they're gonna do it because it's worth a lot of money. Obviously, right? That's the money fight, is Duplessis Adesanya in Australia. Well, again, why does Izzy get to fight in Australia after he just lost in Australia last year to Strickland? Why? Adesanya loses every single round to Sean Strickland, or every round but one to Sean Strickland. He gets an immediate title rematch. Strickland beats Adesanya and then loses a razor-thin fight against Dricus Duplessis and doesn't get the rematch and has to fight Paulo Costa. And before you say, oh, Izzy, former, champion, he defended the belt a bunch of times. Well, in that second reign with the belt, he had not defended it. He beat Pereira and then lost in his first title defense against Sean Strickland. Izzy doesn't deserve it. Strickland should be fighting for a chance to get the next shot at the championship right now. This is how it should go. Strickland should be, if Strickland wins, which I think he will, he should get the rematch against Duplessis. The winner of Costa and Chimaev and Whitaker should be next up for the winner of that fight. That's what should be next. But it's not, because again, we gotta give the fight to Israel Adesanya. It's ridiculous. My card's full, so the camera's gonna stay like this for a second. I'll fix it before the main event. It should be Strickland next for the belt, but it's not, because again, you gotta give the fight to Adesanya. Adesanya should be fighting, in my opinion, he should be fighting Jared Cannonier. I know it's not a money fight, but you can market it as the return of Adesanya. He can fight in Australia in a co-main event or in a main event, and I don't think a lot of people are gonna complain about it. Just do 2 pay-per-views that month. Or hell, Adesanya's not gonna co-main event, I don't think, but or really, the fight should have been Chimaev. Really, they should have done Chimaev Adesanya, rematch, Strickland, Duplessis, and then have Whitaker fight Cannonier. That's probably what should have happened. I think Cannonier probably will beat Imavov. Come back next week for the full fight card, full breakdown of that fight card in Kentucky next week at the KFC Yum Center. Nice arena. I've been there before. But again, I think Strickland should be fighting for a shot to get the belt back in his next fight. That's not what he's going to get. I don't know what's next for him. Seriously, he's probably going to have to fight the winner of Cannonier Imavov next. But he's already beat Imavov. He lost to Cannonier. They're probably going to say, go fight Cannonier, and then you can get your title shot back. Strickland wins. He's probably going to have to fight Jared Cannonier, I think. It sucks, but if they can turn both these guys around, put Cannonier and Strickland in the co-main event in Australia, and then the winner of that fight could fight for the belt. But then again, what do you do with the winner of Chimaev Whitaker? The top of the division, again, there's a logjam at the top of the middleweight division, and it is not helping that a guy who's lost two out of his 3 last fights is getting the next title shot. It makes no sense. We need the new contenders to move the division forward, and not a guy who doesn't win, who's lost 2 out of 3, to get the next title shot. It's so stupid. Strickland, though, beats Paulo Costa. He wins every single round. Strickland 50-45. He wins the fight by decision. Main event time for the lightweight championship of the world. Islam Makhachev, Dustin the Diamond Poirier. Dustin finally gets his 3rd chance, as likely his last chance, right? I don't think we anticipate Dustin getting another shot at the belt ever, and he's got to get it done. If you're on, the UFC side of TikTok, you'll see the shine bright like a diamond TikToks with Dustin the Diamond Poirier, right? Again, this is his last chance. This is it for Dustin. If he doesn't win, again, I don't know. I feel like there is a fight with him and Max Holloway that can be looked at. I really do think that's a fight that can happen because, again, Dustin's beat him twice. They can fight for the BMF. I think that's a fight that can be looked at. I don't think Dustin's necessarily going to retire after this fight. There's also a fight with Colby Covington that can still happen as well. Hell, even a trilogy fight with Justin Gaethje, I think, still out there for him. There are fights for Dustin Poirier. Conor McGregor is still out there as well. There's fights for Dustin, and there's too much money left on the table for Dustin to walk away if he loses. But as in terms of fighting for a world championship, this feels kind of like it. Like, this is his last shot. Especially because of how, top heavy the lightweight division is, right? There's guys who are waiting for their shot. Sarukyan. Oliveira's still around. Gamrot's still around. Connor's always a factor. Chandler's going to be a factor if he beats Connor. I feel like this is a little bit different than even like a Colby Covington situation where, like, I don't think Colby's ever going to get the belt. As a diehard Colby Covington fan who's literally wearing a Colby Covington shirt right now as I speak, I don't think Colby's ever going to become the world champion. But even in that situation, I can see where Colby's could get a 4th title shot. It's simple, right? He fights Oliveira coming up to 170, wins, gets a title shot. He beats a guy like Della Maddalena or Rachmanov or even Ian Gary, then he's right back in there for a title shot. Or hell, he beats Usman in a 3rd fight. Colby's right back in there for a title shot because of the lack of contenders at 170 pounds. It's Bilal, Rachmanov, Maddalena, but again, at some point those guys have to fight each other, and one of those guys are going to get knocked right back down the weight class. For Poirier, it feels different. It feels like I don't think he can get back to the belt, and he was kind of gifted a shot at the belt because he beat Benoit and because he fought a relatively unknown fighter in Benoit Saint-Denis in his last fight. Say it how it is. He beat the guy who ranked number 14 in his last fight. 13. And now he's fighting for a championship. This could be Justin Gaethje's fight. If Gaethje didn't fight Holloway, he'd be right here in this fight. Because again, 2 fights ago, Dustin Poirier got knocked out. He's coming off 1 win. So I think we can throw away looking at all of his previous fights and hyping that up. We got to look about the fight in itself. How does Dustin Poirier beat Islam Makhachev? He has to knock him out. Obviously. That's his pathway to success. But Islam's striking game is ever evolving and it's only getting better. Islam Makhachev's a problem. And I will make the case that Islam Makhachev might be better than Khabib. I don't know. This Islam Makhachev. Not the guy that went life and death with Volk. Okay? And I don't know if that's just him knocking out Volk was, Volk coming back and, just Volk taking the fight on short notice. I don't know. But Khabib never knocked anybody out with a head kick like that. And the greatest featherweight of all time like that. And yeah, Makhachev hasn't defended the belt against lightweight yet. Well, he's going to get the opportunity to do so against Poirier. Okay. And I know, again, the strength of schedule isn't the greatest, but like Khabib's strength of schedule wasn't the greatest either. I'll make the case Islam might be better than Khabib Nurmagomedov. I don't know. This Islam, not, again, what he's done in the past. The guy who just beat Volk. I don't know. And we're really going to see it here against Dustin Poirier. Because if he's able to put 2 together, I don't know, man. I don't know truly who beats Islam. If that gives away the pick, it does. But I will tell you how I think this fight plays out. Poirier strikes with Islam for a little bit. Poirier does hit him hard. It gets the crowd going. Poirier doesn't wobble him, but hits him really tough. Makhachev chases a takedown. He's in on a double. Poirier jumps the guillotine. John Anik and Joe Rogan go crazy. Is this going to be it? Is Poirier finally going to get the guillotine finish? Islam pops his head out and submits him. Islam Makhachev wins the fight by 2nd round submission. I think the first round's kind of the feeling out process, I'll be honest. I don't think Dustin's going to take too many chances in the first round, considering the way Islam fought his last first round and the fact that, Volk got him deep in the fight in the first Volk-Makhachev fight, and Volk saw a lot of success deep in the fight against Makhachev, right? So I don't think Dustin's going to be, more like, I don't think he's going to be overly excited to just, start getting into a war into the first round. Because I think, again, Dustin's best pathway to victory is to draw this fight out a little bit and then really pour it on with the strikes as the fight continues, not right away. But I think this fight does end in the second. I think, again, Poirier lands his cleanest shot of the fight in the 2nd round. Makhachev chases a double. He's not in all the way. Dustin thinks he's got a guillotine choke. He jumps it, wraps his legs around. He doesn't get it. He burns his arms out. Makhachev takes his back, submits him with a rear naked choke. Where have we heard this before? Yeah, that's kind of exactly what happened at UFC 242 against Khabib, but still, I kind of think it's going to happen again. I really think Dustin's going to try to submit him with a guillotine choke. I don't think he's going to learn his lesson. I truly think Dustin's going to try it again. Call me crazy. I think that's what he's going to try. And if he does try it, well, yeah, I think Islam's going to take advantage. Now, in a striking fight, I do think Dustin still has the upper hand, right? But again, we say it all the time. Your wrestling makes your striking better. And it was clearly evident with Islam Makhachev's last fight with Alexander Volkanovski. The threat of the wrestling and the threat of the takedown, if that is always there, it's always going to impact your opponent, and it's always going to have your opponent thinking about the takedown. What am I going to have to do to stop this and keep the fight on the feet? And then boom, you get shocked with something over the top. And again, in Volk's case, you get put out with the head kick. There's a reason Islam's such a big favorite, right? There's a reason Islam's at minus 550 and Dustin's hovering around plus 400. Don't get me wrong, I will be cheering for Dustin the Diamond Poirier, and I will be over the moon if he wins this fight. Seriously. I was so hyped when he beat Benoit Saint-Denis. I was like, I don't know why the odds were that way. I went a bunch of money on Dustin Poirier that weekend. I'm going to be over the moon if he beats Islam Makhachev. I will be seriously, I hope he guillotines Islam Makhachev. I want it to happen. I can't pick it though. Islam's going to win the fight by second round sub because I just don't think Dustin's able to get it done. I think at Dustin's third title fight, he loses, and they end the same way the previous two do, by rear naked choke. Islam Makhachev wins, and Dustin again searching for answers. Again, the career's not over. There's fights for him. Max Holloway, Justin Gaethje again, Conor McGregor again. Like, there are fights. Colby Covington is still there too. There are fights for Dustin Poirier. Charles Oliveira is still out there as well. Like, there are fights to make. So he shouldn't go because, again, there's a lot of money for Dustin Poirier to make still. It would not make sense for him to hang it up. I know he's talked about it. If Dustin wins, okay. Like, seriously, if he wins, screw defending the belt. Take it and retire. Seriously. Screw the pride. Go out there, win the belt, leave it vacant, and let Arman Tsarukyan and Mateusz Gamrot fight for the vacant belt. Seriously, right? Actually, if the belt went vacant, I think Max Holloway would be more than willing to fight for the vacant belt. Actually, no, I think Max would be fine with the Poirier fight. No, seriously, if the belt went vacant, actually, no, Chandler Connor's at 70. Yeah, they probably make Gamrot Tsarukyan for the vacant 55-pound title. It's not gonna happen. I don't think so many things have to go that way. I think Poirier would keep on fighting even if he won. I think Poirier would be more than willing to fight Arman then. But yeah, the winner's likely getting Tsarukyan. Maybe they'll have Tsarukyan fight Gamrot, but I doubt it. I think they're just going to give Tsarukyan the title fight. Gamrot, I don't know what they do with Gamrot. If Charles doesn't go to 70 and fight a guy like Colby, then I think maybe Charles gets Gamrot. Gamrot's been calling for that. I think that probably will happen, but who knows? Again, Charles is going to be the backup fighter for Conor and Chandler, so we'll see. That's why I'm just thinking, though, like, Charles might get a fight at 70. That's why I think maybe him and Colby in the co-main event of 303. We'll see. That's really soon, but I think it could happen, right? It could happen. Colby's taken fights on short notice before. Look at the Robbie Lawler fight, right? Like, it could happen. But I'm taking Islam Makhachev to win the fight by second round sub. Again, I detailed how I think it's going to go. Unfortunately, I want Dustin to win, but yeah, I can't pick against Islam. He's pound for pound number one for a reason. Makhachev continues the reign. He submits Dustin Poirier in the second round, and still lightweight champion of the world, Islam Makhachev. Bring on Arman in the rematch. That's the one guy that I think can give Islam a lot of problems. We will get to that fight, though, if we get to it. But for now, Islam Makhachev holds on to the belt. He beats Dustin the Diamond Poirier the same exact way Dustin lost his first two title fights, by submission. We're going to say he gets it done in the second round. So, folks, thank y'all for watching our UFC 302 predictions, again, from Newark, New Jersey. Thank y'all for watching. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to comment if you do disagree with any of the picks. We'll be back next week for UFC Fight Night, Louisville, Kentucky, from the KFC Yum Center. Jared Cannonier, now Sunny Imavov in the main event, and then also PFL Europe 2 is coming at you next week as well. So, folks, thank you for watching. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more, and Mamba forever.